Good morning. Morning. Welcome, whether you're here in this room or out in YouTube land, we welcome you to a very special morning here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. We are celebrating our 70th birthday today. We are celebrating welcoming new members today, and we're celebrating having a potluck today. So that's right. That's good stuff. My name is the Reverend Mandy Goheen. My pronouns are she, her. I have served this congregation for nearly 3 years, and it has been a wild 3 years, and full of joy and fun. And one of my favorite things about this congregation is the connections I feel and the people whose stories I hear. We are a wonderful group of people, so I look forward to, during the potluck, chatting a little bit and socializing. Our opening words are by Dana E. Worsnop, and I always love names that challenge me. Worsnop, that's a good name. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at. I know that they aren't getting it quite right, though. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who just think like me. I want to be in beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people with a good heart. I want to be with people who have many names or no names for God or don't even think God exists. I want to be with people who see me in goodness and dignity, who see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk a tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, and who strive to keep their promises and hold me to my promises that I make. I want to be with people who give themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, and sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people just like you. And in saying that, I would like to invite people forward who are planning on joining the church this morning to light our chalice. Yay! Except you need to have a lighter. So here we go. And there, that little thing. And you all just fight over who does it. Please join me in our chalice lighting words that can be found in the order of service. In the light of truth, the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Now, I'm going to invite the folks who are joining today to stay up here, and you all to rise in body and or spirit and sing number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Good morning. While you're standing up, you can grab your gray hymnal. Oh, there we go. Good morning. While you're standing up, you can go ahead and grab your gray hymnal and turn to number 188. And this is actually a round. So
all right.
We're going to sing it 3 times through total. The first time through, we're all going to sing it together so that everybody can learn it. And then the second time and third time through, you're going to sing it in groups. So the group farthest from me over on that side of the sanctuary will be group 1, and I will sing with you. And then this group closer to me, you're going to be group 2. If you get lost, group 1, you can listen for my voice. Group 2, Christian and Selena are in group 2. Oh, we're doing just 2 groups. Yeah. So we've got this. So Christian and Selena are doing group 2. So if you get lost in group 2, you can listen for them. Group 1, you can listen for me. And people down front, you can sing in whichever group you feel like, because it's your day.
And do you need a book? It's an easy one. It's an easy one.
Okay. So first time through, we're all together. So here we go.
It's 188.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come. You can be seated.
You may, yeah, thank you. So, I don't know why I'm holding 2 microphones. Have it. So, I am going to read some words to welcome these folks, and then in your order of service, you'll find the response that we'll all do. I'll invite us all to do in a moment. And here you go. You ready? This is your lecture about joining. It's not mean, I promise. Here, and this is words by Victoria Weinstein. Here in this church, human beings have gathered for 70 years, seeking higher purpose and deeper life that they couldn't find alone. We are grateful today for each one of you, that you have found your way here and that you have decided to make this commitment to a faith community. We hope that as members of this church, you will allow yourself to know and be known, to minister and be ministered to love and be loved by this congregation. We will really never know what combination of fate and friendship and good luck it was that brings certain people together in the world for any purpose. But we believe that membership in a church calls each of us here to celebrate the fate that has drawn us together and to regard each one spiritual friend and potential teacher, even of occasional hard lessons. The relationship we form in our church is based on the needs of the heart and the needs to render each of us vulnerable and therefore resilient on each other's grace and goodness and generosity of spirit. As members of this church, we pledge to be guardians of each other's spirit, to respect ultimately the privacy of each one human struggle, and to believe in each other's inherent dignity. Finally, as members of this congregation, we know that we can always rely on the wisdom of our covenant, which reminds us of our true purpose of being together. Will the congregation please join me in welcoming our newest members by reading the response? In the bonds of fellowship and love, we unite to cultivate reverence, to promote spiritual growth and ethical commitment, to minister to each other's needs and those of humanity, to celebrate the sacred moments of life's passage, and to honor the holiness at heart of being. We welcome you to this community with all our hearts. I promised I'm not gonna make people tell their life story, but I do want to know everyone's names, right? So if you could please share your name with the community.
Bill Dornbush.
Jennifer Dornbush.
This is Caroline Peck, and I'm Zach Peck.
This is Callum. I'm Tiffany. This is River. I'm Amber Osme. Don't worry if you butcher the name, it's all good.
Jonathan Osme, and this is Evander Osme.
Can we welcome them with a giant round of applause? Thank you all so much. Go, you don't have to stand in front of us anymore. Well, that's not my last introduction. I am so excited. Sorry, trying to do the stage behind me thing. I'm so excited to introduce our new Director of Religious Education. Camille, can you come up here and meet all of us? Anyone who was in, anyone who participated in the search committee for Camille, would you please rise and let us give you a big round of applause? Sally and Talia and Camille, but not this Camille, helped us come a long way together. This is such a celebration for us, and I'm just so thrilled that we are here together and welcoming you today. And if you would please tell us our story for all ages. I'll put the microphone back together. And introduce yourself if you want. More. Just next to you, I think.
Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Uh-oh, is it turned off? Yeah.
Flip the switch that's on there. Should be a switch on the front.
Ta-da! Hello, good morning. My name is Camille Mason, and I am so excited to be your new Director of Religious Education. I am from Chattanooga. I grew up here, and so it's very exciting to be back in Chattanooga. I went away for college and came back, and I'm excited to be a part of this community and grow with your children and learn. So I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having me. I'm going to share our story for all ages, and we're going to read Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches, found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next village that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are the keepers of the tree, because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become. Well, said the merchant, you may think this tree is very special, but it doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous. Ah, replied the villager, the tree itself may not need me, but what of the others who come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight all alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you hadn't arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I am here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you. And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us.
Yay! And now, with Camille and everyone, we're going to invite the young folks from high school down to go downstairs and enjoy some religious education. All right, we got it. So.
Story, huh?
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Steve Hollingsworth. I guess that since we joined in 1999, that we've kind of slowly and unexpectedly become old timers here. How did that happen? One of the things I have loved about this church is that it does its best to speak to many different constituencies. Some people can barely stand if they hear the word God here, and yet I know a few people who have come and found that they were not nourished enough because there was not enough spirituality, and so they have fallen away. Well, thus it's always been. When we had a minister, Jay Abernathy, he, in an era where this was a very humanist congregation, decided he would try moving gently in the direction of being more spiritual. And one morning he had planned a an interval of silent meditation. I swear, I think he was playing an over-under bet with himself. Because when it came to the time where he said, and now, let's be silent and go into the mystery together, he sort of started counting to himself, 1,001, 1,002. He got to about 7 or 8, and somebody said loudly, "Amen." If you ask me privately, I'll tell you who I think it was. I was not there. An amazing man who's no longer with us. Gosh, we want to, let's take turns, okay? If we get something you don't like, remember we're going to do something you like soon enough. So that's what we're about. So I'm really. I feel like I have to bring this to a stop, right? This is a good time to stop. All right.
In the spirit of saying amen today, instead of a silent meditation, we are being graced with the talent of this congregation and people who have brought their voices to us this morning. It is an interesting song, has lots of history, sometimes a little dicey for people to sing in predominantly white spaces. But I want to say, after COVID, it feels like we need to sing this together so that we can move into the next space. And this is our prayer for today. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So, as we're celebrating our 70th anniversary, when I talked to Jennifer, I said, let's find some iconic songs of the UU Church. So, when we thought about We Shall Overcome, I said, let's bring more people up here. So, we have here more mics and more people than ever before. And it's because we can do it now, because we got people like John and there and lots of equipment. So thank you all, everybody. So we're gonna do We Shall Overcome. We're gonna start it out on our side, and after about 3 verses, we're gonna invite you then to it. Don't worry, we're gonna say the few words that you need, and just you can sing it kind of loud and hard.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh,
I do believe we shall all be free someday. Let's join in with singing, We Are Not Afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. Someday, oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid someday. And the next verse, we are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not alone someday. And finally, we shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I will believe we shall live in peace someday. We shall live in peace someday.
Oh my goodness. If that's not a prayer, I don't know what is. Right? So I want to take a moment. We come up and we light candles for our joys and concerns in the world. But before we do, I'd like to light a candle for each generation of this church, 70 years. So if you're someone who's been here the first in the 1950s, even if you were what is that, a wink in your father's eye? I don't know. We're going to light the first candle for you or your memory. So if you want to hold someone who has been a member or around this church or an ancestor in the last 70 years. Solomon's. We can say names out loud. Okay, I know we have someone who joined in the 60s. But if you can think of anybody else, if you'd like to rise or wave, I know who you are. There you go. Woo! He joined the year I was born. You don't have to stay standing, but you're welcome. And mine. How about if you joined in the 70s? Anyone here who joined in the Oh, all right. I'm using a different thing to light every candle for some reason. I don't know what my method is. It's not working. All right, you know the 80s are coming. I know a lot of y'all are going to stand. Anyone who joined in the 80s? The 90s were fabulous, y'all. You know it's time to stand up. Anyone who joined this church in the 90s? Yeah. All right. 2000, Y2K, you remember that decade. Anybody join in the first decade of the 2000s? 2000 through 2010. All right, there we go. 2010. 2010. Who joined in 2010? Woo! Yeah. What'd you say? Oh, that is not what I thought you said. But yes, the whole decade. All right, the whole decade. And anyone who's joined in the last 5, 10 years, especially during COVID, please rise and thank you for joining us during this interesting decade. Oh, Minerva! Yay! And I don't think I lit enough candles. I got distracted. There's 7. I can count. There are 3 kinds of people: those who are good at math and those who aren't. Thank you. That took a minute. Huh? And now, let's get a little bit reverent, because I would like to invite any of you forward who would like to light a candle to celebrate this day. And we'll do it as best we can. So please come forward for candles of joys, concerns, or just celebration. I will attempt to light another candle for the joys and concerns that we hold in our heart, and for those that people online are feeling, and just for the paradox of celebration, because there are people we miss. So, this is a time to think about belonging and connection. So many times in the world when we think about that, we think about what it's like to fit in. We don't think about what it's like to belong. Fitting in versus belonging. The social scientist Brené Brown has a pretty interesting take on this. I'm going to read what she has to say. The thing is that we're wired to be part of something bigger than us so deeply that sometimes we'll take fitting in as a substitute, but actually fitting in is the greatest barrier to belonging, because fitting in says, be like them to be accepted. Belonging says, this is who I am. I hope we can make a connection. Making connections has been hard, and so we are focusing on the board and in committees on creating connections again in this church, creating relationships which are sacred. If I use the word sacred for anything, it's when I'm in the woods, or like how you feel when you're talking to somebody and you're really in a groove, you belong, you're who you are. Brené Brown is not who came up with this concept of fitting in being different than belonging. And she is actually inspired by someone I'm very inspired by, who is Maya Angelou. In 1973, in a conversation with Bill Moyers, I know we can all get behind that as sacred text, right? Maya Angelou said to him, well, he asked a question. He said, you've done almost anything you wanted to. You've traveled, you've tasted many languages and lifestyles, you've written, you've acted, you've sang, you've scored movies. You've really been mobile, nomadic, a free person. That price you have paid for freedom, what is that? And she says, well, at some point, you're only free when you realize you don't belong any place. You belong every place. No place at all. The high price, the reward is great. I feel that. I really have felt almost my whole life that I wouldn't live long, and now I'm doing a pretty good job of it. Bill Moyers said, you've lived. Prophet, he calls her. Somebody said a prophet is a person who predicts, whose predictions have been proven wrong long after they are forgotten. Maybe that self-prophecy will prove to be forgotten. Maya Angelou says, I hope so. Anyway, he asked, do you belong anywhere? And she says, I haven't yet. Do you belong to anyone? More and more, I belong to myself, she says. I'm very proud of that. I'm very concerned about how I look at Maya. I like Maya very much. I like the humor and the courage very much. And when I find myself acting in ways that doesn't please me, then I have to deal with that. But the first time I ever felt I belonged any place was in West Africa, Ghana, when I went to live there. My plague. Okay. So I went to Memphis last week. And it was my second time there in the last few months, actually. And I went to the Lorraine Motel again, where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And I stood there again and was overwhelmed again by that place. The feeling I had as I laid outside in the park to kind of take a break and regroup was very much of freedom, but not connected. I didn't feel connected to that place. I'd gone to Memphis to feel connected, to see if I belonged. See if I belonged in the Unitarian Universalist Women's Association. This same association had pretty much said I didn't belong before. I'm not the academic blah, blah, blah of the century, which many women who get into that position are, and I had been told no on 2 occasions. No, we don't need another seminarian. No, we don't. This time they told me yes, but what was interesting, it was yes, but. Yes, but you're not what we're looking for. We're not looking for more white women clergy to be in charge of the UU Women's Federation, quite frankly. You're not who we were looking for, but you're totally who we were looking for. We love you. And I was like, okay. So to fit into the description that I have no way to be anything other than who I am. I have taken a pretty strong oath, ethical oath, to be authentic in the world and to be transparent and to be welcoming to all people. I live that, so they knew that about me. They knew that I had connections with the people they wanted, who weren't me. And at first it was very awkward, especially when you're in a group of people who are being really honest with each other in a brave way. It was a very brave space. I felt really, in a weird way, more like I belonged, that a black woman was able to say that to me in a comfortable way. And I had space to process it. So there was not a lot of comfort in this belonging. I want to be clear. But it made me identify that I needed to figure out who I wanted to be for the UU Women's Federation. What was my place in that spot? What could I bring? And I figured it out. They're very serious about this business, and I am not very serious about many kinds of business. So the next day we met again, and I brought music. And I said, what's missing is the music. The missing is the space to think and process. And if I'm going to be part of this community, we're going to need to change a little bit. Can you imagine walking into someplace new and saying, I'm so glad I'm here. I think you all are going to need to change a little bit, though. We hear the opposite a lot. We hear we need more people so they can act just like us. But we rarely have a person coming in purposefully looking at the places that they can help change the system. And I had an opportunity to do that. I had an opportunity to decenter education in this group. I had an opportunity to celebrate that 11 women of color were given scholarships from the money from the Women's Federation. I socialized with them. It was wonderful. We had a great time. But it wasn't the kind of belonging that makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Some belonging doesn't. Some belonging makes you feel challenged. And this was that for me. Being a part of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga means we are Unitarian Universalists, whether we like to talk about it or not. We are part of a fellowship movement of churches that began in the 50s. Sound familiar? It's our birthday. And was really cultivating intellectual minds from different universities. We know, many of us know the story that the Solomons met with and helped found this church, but it was based on recruiting really intellectual people. And I think Steve had a good point. There are certain phases within the church that belonging and being comfortable probably meant something very different along the way. There were periods in our history where we were very humanist leaning. There are periods in Unitarian Universalism that follow the same pattern. But when you're a part of this church, you're part of something much bigger. And it's not the same kind of belonging that we're used to in the church context. It's not this, you must do A, B, and C in order to belong. This is harder. You must be yourself in order to belong here. Ooh. That's hard, huh? Be your authentic self and see other people for who they authentically are too, not just you. I think about fitting in as being a little bit self-centered. I'm going to change who I am to trick other people, to camouflage myself so that I can be someplace. And when I went to Memphis to be in the Women's Federation, I took kind of dressy clothes. I dress up on Sunday, be practical, but not other days. And I had looked in my bag, and the bag of clothes and the way I was presenting myself wasn't me authentically in a working group. Authentically, I'm going to drag out markers and paper and make a big mess and play music and be kind of loud. And this was different. This was, gosh, am I going to say the wrong thing? Am I going to hurt someone's feelings? How can I be brave in this space? The way to be brave in this space is to be who you are. Not rude, not pointing out other people are wrong and you're just who you are, so they have to put up with it. Not that, but coming to people authentically as who you are creates belonging. And in this place, I've seen that happen over and over again. I've seen belonging created in all these amazing ways. Belonging to that music today. Oh my gosh. Think about that was part of everyone. That was a gift of belonging throughout this space. The art on the walls. The tech, the way the sanctuary is brightening up. The new playground, the new religious education director, all this thing is happening because you all are building connections with each other. This is not me doing this. This is the work of shared ministry. This is not the work of some bossy minister. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. Y'all have caught on to that. I know that. So this is our work together, and I'm seeing the fruits of that in such beautiful ways. We are doing, instead of an out-and-out pledge drive this year, we're doing a connection campaign. And I don't have it on. There's fancier name tags some people have. Some people don't yet. Steve Hollingsworth has a fancy name tag. He has participated in the connection campaign. What that means is that we're asking you to have a conversation with someone else in this community and connect together. That's what this means. This means committing to the connections in this community. And we talk about time, talent, and treasure. I want to add another thing. I want to add relationships, because that's really the kernel of why we're here. Selena has been having coffee on the first and third coffees. It's named something very practical that I can't remember. And I walked in late a couple of weeks ago, and church was happening. Church, they were having these really cool, deep conversations and trusting each other over food. And then it happened again with flowers. And then I keep running into these situations around here where y'all are doing the work, and all we have to do is get comfortable doing it in a broader and broader and broader circle, because this place is going to grow. It already is. It's grown in all kinds of amazing ways. It's grown in maturity. It's grown in the way we do governance. It's grown in the way that staff is being cherished. It's grown in so many ways. And you all have done that. You all have made a place where we can belong together. So you have an obligation to that. You have an obligation to work on that, to reach out to each other, make new friends, welcome new people, jump into the work that needs to be done. Do you belong anywhere? Bill Moyer asked. And Maya Angelou says, I haven't yet. And I think of my life. Child of divorced parents, always moving. Military spouse, always moving. Now we're in Chattanooga. And I'll tell you, this place and this church has given me a different sense of what it's like to belong than any place else in the world. I feel it. And the reason I feel it is because you all are brave and bring your authentic self, even when it's hard. We raise the money even when it's hard. We take care of each other even when we are kind of mad at each other sometimes. But the most important thing is We see each other for who we are, and we invite each other into a community where being authentic is what's sacred, not conforming to some rule. Laughter and hugs are our salvation. Community is our God. This is a cool place, y'all. And I am so proud to be your minister. And I am so proud to be celebrating this 70th anniversary. May it be so, and blessed be. Which seems really interesting because I'm going to talk about commitment to belonging now as we talk about the offertory. So money. Wouldn't I love not to ask for it? Wouldn't that be fun? I heard something really cool about generosity in our connection campaign the other night. I heard a story that when people give to the Donate the Plate, they feel more generous all week. Wow! That's building community. When you give to this place, don't just give today. Use it as your seed for generosity as you go forward in the world this week. This is a place of beginning and connection. If it is your first time, you can keep your wallet in your pocket. And as I say, if you've been here 1,000, you can get all the $1,000 bills out that you have, and the collection will be gratefully received. Please join me in our offertory response, which is our covenant to care, which can be found on the back. I'm trying to teach everyone to say the covenant by heart, so I'm making you flip. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Now I would invite you to please rise in body or spirit and get out the teal hymnal for one of my very favorite songs, number 1028, Fire of Commitment.
Sets our mind and soul ablaze when our hunger and our
so what? I like just saying that. So what about today? So what are we learning? What are we taking home with us? My idea of what I'm taking home and what I've learned in the last week through study and research to talk to you today is that this place creates belonging very well, and I am so happy to be part of that. But it doesn't happen in a vacuum. We can't just create belonging for someone else and hand it to them. It is work of relationships, building relationships and building commitment and investing our hearts in this church for all kinds of reasons, whether it be justice or decorating or cooking or singing or playing amazing music or pulling privet. All the things. The sound. Even the people at home just watching are part of this community. Is broader, and we can't do it without folks mowing the grass and greeting people and making coffee. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who makes that commitment to this church. You have amazing leadership skills, and I am just so excited to celebrate the next 10 years with all of you. It's time to extinguish our chalice. You think you would help me do that since I didn't? Yeah. I'm going to lure you up here. And please join me in this chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Yay, yep. You did it. Volunteering on the spot. Thank you. So it's announcement time. We have a pretty cool announcement. On Saturday, May 14th, we will meet at Booker T. Washington State Park for a church picnic as part of our 70th anniversary celebration. The event will be from 10 a.m. to 1:30 and will include a Birds of Prey presentation and a guided nature hike with Amy Koosman and games and food. Make sure, Bill and Yvonne, please stand up, to let them know that you're coming so we have enough food, and check the newsletter for more information. Thank you, Bill and Yvonne, for organizing this. Tonight is Beloved Cafe. If you don't know what that means, that's because we're always figuring it out. But it's basically a conversation using the small group method. Tonight we're talking about the connections we have here and belonging. So we'll have an open, honest conversation about that. It's a brave space to talk. Everybody gets a turn to say something. We do a little meditation. If you're not so full in a minute, there'll be cookies. So, and you'll get a new name tag. Oh yeah, the name tag thing. More about that. Does anybody in the community have an announcement? I know there's some. Oh, come on up, everybody. Oh, there's a microphone. Oh, there you go. Come on up. Selena.
Thanks to the sound guy. Okay, I'm sorry if you're tired of seeing me, but anyway, this coming Wednesday, we're going to do our first or third coffee time because it's the first Wednesday, yes, of May. Last time we met, the age range was from 2 to 80-something, shall I say, which was really great. We had 15 people and a really, really excellent discussion. And we're going to continue from where we left off. We talked a lot about, first we started talking about plants. We talked about climate change as well. And this coming Wednesday, we're going to talk a lot more about our responsibility. Too. So 10 o'clock to 12 noon on Wednesday. If you are available, please do come. It's a great time. Feel free to bring something to share, something to eat or drink to share. I'm particularly interested in seeing babies at our gathering. I'm just saying, if anyone happens to know a baby that you could bring. Anyway, and people over the age of 90, and so we can have the very wide range. So anyway, that's 10 o'clock here in our fellowship area on Wednesday. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any community? Yeah, back here. Trade on back. There we go.
Hello, I'm Judy Gallagher.
And I'm Judith Pedersen Ben. We decided that it's time to restart the Social Justice Committee. So the JJs are going to do it together. Yeah, why not? I don't know. So we're going to have a meeting June the 5th. See how we work so well together? After church. Not a potluck, sorry. All right. So music is always good. So if you're interested in becoming part of our social justice movement, please join us. We're open to ideas. We have a few ideas between us. But we'd really like to hear the ideas of you, because we do all belong together. And the other thing is, as you were talking, Mandy, I was thinking, and we also belong to the earth and to everybody. And to me, that's what social justice is. So,
I just want to say there's so many new faces that every week I see faces that I've never seen before. So if you're new, consider stopping by. You don't have to join us on the 5th and make a commitment to get involved in that way, but you can find out more about the kinds of things and contribute your ideas on how we can do more for our community, greater at large. Thank you.
and this is not a group that just meets and has meetings. We do things. So if you're interested in doing things, please show up. Thank you.
Any other?
Awesome. Thank you. Hi. Good morning. Just really quick announcement about music. Speaking of June 5th, it is going to be All Music Sunday. And speaking of all the wonderful new faces in here, I bet there's some great talent hiding in this room. And, you know, Christian and Selena and Rich and Skip, wasn't that fabulous? Yes. And that could be you. Yeah. So it's always a great time to join the choir. We rehearse every Sunday morning before service. We meet around 9. We start rehearsing about 9:15. And it's always a great time to join any week. We are preparing for All Music Sunday on June the 5th. So if you or anyone you might want to volunteer would like to offer a special music, our theme is going to be Everything I Need to Know About Being a UU I Learned from the Muppets. So if you have something that you think might go with that, we'd love to have you join the choir or offer a special music. Come talk to me. You can email me at music@uucc.org. My email address is on the back of your order of service. So I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
Hi, I also just want to, on such an exciting day where we've welcomed a new director of religious education here today, I want to just speak on behalf of the RE committee and the religious education establishment in general here. We need volunteers to teach. If you are a new parent here or you've just gotten here and you have any teaching experience or you feel comfortable in front of kids, you don't have to be a lead teacher downstairs. You can be an assistant to a teacher, which is sometimes just a matter of herding. Sometimes it's just this. If you can do that, you can be a teacher with us with RE. So if you have any interest in being a volunteer, even just once a month or once every couple months, just come downstairs and be with the kids. We're always looking to build out our teacher corps. So please come and see me afterwards, and I'll point you in the right direction how you can do that. Thanks.
If you're not a parent, please volunteer, because I know we're all tired, and we'd like the rest of you to do it. So. So I just want to give that little, I saw all the parents go, oh. Maybe you need your baby fixed like Selena. Come on downstairs. Wow. What a great start. Does anybody have any directions they want to give about setting up tables for the potluck? Or are we just going to have mayhem?
Yeah, we have already a few volunteers who will bring tables in on the side door. Dave, do you want to add any?
Dave, you want to tell anyone what to do? We're good. Okay.
And we're bringing the tables in, remove the chairs out, so some of you can get started, some of you, if you can help us with the setup, and just follow Dave's wisdom how to set it.
Thanks for coming and eat some food, and what a wonderful Sunday.